12 critical thinking skills to make better decisions and never be misled. Have you ever looked back on a decision and just thought, what was I thinking? Or maybe you've had that sinking feeling when you realize you were swayed by a slick ad or a biased news story. It's frustrating, isn't it? It can make you doubt your own judgment. Every single day, we are swimming in a sea of information. It comes at us from our friends, the news, social media, even our bosses, and every piece of it is fighting for our attention. It is so easy to be influenced by hidden biases, emotional arguments, or to completely miss the long-term consequences of a choice. We're not just deciding what to buy anymore. We're deciding who to trust, what to believe, and which path our lives should take. The stakes have never been higher. I got tired of feeling foolish and regretful. I was done being a passive consumer of information. So I decided to master a set of skills that changes everything. In this video, I'm sharing the 12 critical thinking skills that will empower you to cut through the noise, make better decisions, and never be misled again. This isn't about becoming cynical. It's about being discerning. It's about taking back control of your own mind. The foundation of thought, curiosity, and open-mindedness. So, where do we start? It all begins with the absolute bedrock of clear thinking. The first skill is curiosity. Curiosity is the engine of your intellect. It's that natural, powerful itch to ask questions and seek an understanding that goes deeper than the surface. Think about it. Every great discovery, every brilliant invention started with someone asking a simple question. Why? Or what if? When we lack curiosity, we just accept things without question. And that's the state of mind where misinformation thrives, because if you never ask for more details, you'll only ever hear the story someone else wants you to hear. Curiosity is what pushes you to lift the rug and see what's been swept under it. For example, imagine a new diet is all the rage online. The uncurious mind thinks, well, everyone's doing it, so it must be good, and jumps right in. But the curious mind hits pause and starts asking questions. What's the actual science behind this? Who is funding the studies I'm seeing? What are the long-term effects? Is there anyone this diet could actually be bad for? This kind of questioning doesn't just protect your health. It builds a habit of investigation that will serve you in every part of your life. How do you practice it? Start small. The next time you hear a surprising claim, just pause and ask yourself one simple question. What am I assuming is true here? That single question can unlock a cascade of deeper thinking. Working hand in hand with curiosity is our second skill, open-mindedness. This is your willingness to genuinely consider other viewpoints. And this is the hard part, to be willing to change your own mind when you see compelling evidence. It's the exact opposite of being stubborn. An open mind doesn't mean you don't have convictions. It means you treat your opinions as hypotheses to be tested, not as treasures to be guarded. The world is complicated, and pretending you have it all figured out is the fastest way to be wrong. Think about a time you held a strong political or social opinion. An open-minded approach doesn't mean you abandon your values. It just means you sincerely try to understand where the other person is coming from. Instead of just planning your rebuttal while they're talking, you actually listen to understand their reasoning, their values, and their experiences. Maybe you're discussing a new town policy. Instead of only focusing on how it helps you, you'd actively look for information on how it might hurt others in your community. You might even read an article from a source you normally avoid. You may not change your mind, but your understanding will be deeper, and your final stance will be far more informed. A great way to build this muscle is to intentionally expose yourself to different ideas. Follow a few smart people you disagree with. Read a book by someone with a totally different life experience, or just ask a friend, "How do you see this differently?" The mechanics of analysis, cognitive flexibility, and analytical skills. Once you have the right mindset, it's time to get into the mechanics. Skill number 3 is cognitive flexibility. This is your brain's amazing ability to adapt its thinking, to switch between different concepts, and to look at a single problem from multiple angles. It's about not getting stuck in a mental rut. This is especially key for spotting our own cognitive biases, those little mental shortcuts our brain takes that often lead us astray. A rigid thinker gets a flat tire and their first thought is, "My day is ruined." A cognitively flexible thinker thinks, "Okay, this is a problem. What are my options? I can call a tow truck. I can try changing it myself. Or, hey, maybe this is a chance to finally listen to that podcast while I wait." It's about adapting when new information comes in, so your thinking doesn't become obsolete. Let's say you're leading a project at work, and a huge, unexpected problem blows up your plan. The rigid approach is to try and force the old plan to work, which just leads to stress and failure. Cognitive flexibility is what allows you to pivot. You accept the new reality and immediately start brainstorming new solutions with your team. You're not just following a plan, you're an adaptive problem solver. This skill is what separates people who break under pressure from those who thrive in it. To build this skill, try things that pull you out of your routine. Learn a new instrument, take a different route to work, or even just try to argue the opposite of your own opinion on a small-stakes topic. It literally trains your brain to forge new pathways. Next up, skill number 4, strong analytical skills. This is the ability to break down complex information into smaller, manageable parts, to see how they all connect. It's about seeing the forest and the individual trees. When you analyze something, you're not just passively taking it in. You're examining its structure, its evidence, and its logic to figure out what it really means. Without analytical skills, a very persuasive but deeply flawed argument can sound totally convincing. With them, you can spot the weak link in the chain of logic and save yourself from being misled. A perfect example is looking at product reviews online. The non-analytical approach is to just glance at the star rating. 5 stars, good. 1 star, bad. The analytical mind goes deeper. You start breaking it down. Who is writing these? Are they verified purchases? Do the 5-star reviews all use weirdly similar, generic language, suggesting they might be fake? Do the 1-star reviews all complain about a minor issue I don't care about? Or is it a major flaw that's a deal breaker? You're not just consuming the rating, you're interrogating it. You're looking for patterns and assessing credibility to build a conclusion based on a real examination, not just a gut feeling. A simple way to practice this is to take a news article and try to outline its argument. What's the main claim? What evidence are they presenting? Are there any assumptions they aren't mentioning? This simple exercise forces you to dissect information instead of just absorbing it. The internal compass, MGES, self-awareness, objectivity, and communication. Now we turn the lens inward, because sometimes the most powerful biases we face are our own. This brings us to skill number 5, self-awareness and objectivity. This is about recognizing your own internal biases, your emotions, and your assumptions, and then deliberately setting them aside to see things as impartially as you can. It's knowing that your personal experiences and feelings can color your perception of reality. Being objective doesn't mean you're a robot. It just means you know you have filters and you're actively trying to see past them. Without this, we all fall for confirmation bias, where you only look for information that proves what you already believe. Being objective means you're committed to finding the truth, even if that truth is uncomfortable or proves you wrong. Imagine you're hiring someone for your team. You have two candidates who look equally qualified on paper, but one of them went to the same college as you. A self-aware person immediately recognizes that feeling, that's in-group bias. You feel a natural, unearned connection to that person. Objectivity demands that you consciously put that feeling aside and reevaluate both candidates based purely on their skills, their interview, and their references. You have to ask, if their resume didn't have my school on it, would I still think they're the stronger candidate? That level of honesty is crucial for making fair and logical decisions. To practice this, try keeping a belief journal. Write down a strong belief you hold. Then, list all the reasons you believe it. Be honest with yourself. Are those reasons based on solid evidence, or are they based on tradition, emotion, or just what you've always been told? Flowing right from this is skill number 6, communication. Critical thinking is not a solo sport. Your brilliant ideas are only as good as your ability to articulate them, test them against other people's ideas, and absorb feedback. Strong communication isn't just about clearly expressing yourself. It's just as much about asking good questions and actively listening to really understand where others are coming from. It's through conversation that our own ideas get refined, our blind spots get exposed, and our collective understanding gets better. When you can explain a complex idea simply, it's a sure sign you truly get it. Think of a team meeting trying to solve a tough problem. Poor communication is when people just talk past each other, defending their own turf without really listening. Excellent communication looks totally different. Someone with this skill might say, "Okay, I'm seeing the solution this way, because of X and Y. Sarah, it looks like you have a different take. Can you walk me through your reasoning? I want to make sure I understand where our views differ." This approach turns a potential fight into a collaborative search for the best answer. You can practice this every day. The next time you're in a discussion, try to summarize the other person's point back to them to their satisfaction before you give your own opinion. Say something like, "So, if I'm hearing you right, your main concern is, this ensures you're responding to what they actually said, not what you assumed they said." The grind of discovery, persistence, and research. Great decisions rarely come quickly or easily. They take work. That brings us to skill number 7, persistence. In critical thinking, persistence is that stubborn commitment to finding the truth, even when it's complicated or frustrating. It's the refusal to give up and just take the easy answer. A lot of misinformation relies on our lack of intellectual stamina. The creators know that if they make the truth hard to find, most people will just stop looking. Persistence is your decision to keep looking. It's the grit that says, "I don't get this yet, but I will." Think about trying to understand a complex new technology, like AI or blockchain. It's easy to read an article or two, get overwhelmed by the jargon, and just settle for a simplified, and often wrong, explanation from someone else. The persistent thinker keeps going. They watch videos, read different takes, look up the terms they don't know, and slowly, piece by piece, they build a real understanding. They don't give up at the first roadblock. This is what allows them to form their own well-informed opinion, instead of just borrowing one. To build persistence, treat knowledge gaps like a puzzle. When you hit a wall of confusion, don't back away. Isolate the one specific thing you don't get and focus on figuring out just that one piece. Solving that small part will give you the momentum to tackle the next one. Of course, persistence only works if you're looking in the right places. This leads to skill number 8. Research and information gathering. This is the skill of actively finding accurate, relevant, and credible information to guide your thinking. This is way more than a quick Google search. It's knowing how to find trustworthy sources, how to tell the difference between primary and secondary information, and how to gather enough data to get the full picture. Good decisions are built on good data. Bad data, or not enough data, is a recipe for disaster. Let's go back to buying a car. Bad research is asking one friend what they drive and just getting the same thing. Good research is a multi-pronged attack. You'd read professional reviews from automotive journals, check reliability ratings from consumer groups, watch video reviews from trusted experts, and scan owner forums to see what real-world problems people are having. You're checking your information from multiple, diverse sources to form a conclusion that is solid and evidence-based. A great habit to build here is to always ask, how does this person know this, when you hear a claim? Does the source actually have expertise? Do they have a vested interest in the outcome? Questioning the source is just as important as questioning the information itself. The judgment, identifying biases and making inferences. With good information in hand, it's time to judge it. This brings us to a huge one. Skill number 9, identifying biases. This is the ability to spot the mental shortcuts and hidden agendas, both in yourself and in others, that can twist the facts. A bias isn't just an opinion, it's a thumb on the scale of logic. It can be a news channel that always frames stories to help one political party, or it can be your own self-serving bias, where you blame your failures on bad luck and credit your successes to your genius. Being able to spot these biases is like having X-ray glasses for information. It lets you see the hidden structure of an argument. For instance, when reading about a proposed new factory in your town, you have to spot the bias. A report funded by the corporation that wants to build the factory will probably talk all about job creation and economic growth. A report from a local environmental group will likely focus on pollution and habitat loss. Both sides might be using facts, but their bias determines which facts they show you. A critical thinker doesn't just pick a side. They see the bias in both, understand why each one is framing the story that way, and know that the whole truth is probably somewhere in the messy middle. To get better at this, actively look for evidence that disproves what you believe. When you have a strong opinion, make a real effort to find the smartest argument against your position. This forces you to confront opposing views and helps expose the biases holding up your own. Next, we have skill number 10, inference. Inference is the art of drawing logical conclusions from the evidence you have, even when the picture isn't complete. It's about reading between the lines and connecting the dots. Life rarely gives us all the data. The ability to make a sound inference, an educated guess based on logic, is what lets us navigate uncertainty without getting paralyzed. Imagine a manager notices that their best employee has suddenly started missing deadlines and seems quiet in meetings. A poor inference is to jump to the conclusion that the employee has gotten lazy. A skilled critical thinker infers differently. Based on the evidence a consistent high performer has a sudden change in behavior, they might infer that an external factor is likely at play. Maybe a personal issue, a health problem, or burnout. This inference doesn't assume an answer, but it leads to a much better course of action, having a supportive conversation instead of making an accusation. Practice this by just observing things around you. Look at a set of facts and ask yourself, what's the most logical conclusion here? What are some other possibilities? The final act, evaluation and decision-making. We've reached the final stage where everything comes together. Skill number 11 is evaluation. This is where you rigorously assess the credibility, relevance, and strength of the information you've gathered. After you've taken an argument apart and spotted its biases, evaluation is the final judgment you pass on it. Is this source trustworthy? Is this evidence really strong enough to support the claim? Is this argument logical? Evaluation is the gatekeeper of your mind. It's the final quality check before you let a piece of information shape your beliefs. Think about being on a jury. Your job isn't just to listen to the stories from the prosecution and the defense. Your job is to evaluate them. You assess the credibility of each witness. Do they have a reason to lie? You evaluate the physical evidence. Is it circumstantial or is it definitive? You analyze the lawyer's arguments. Are they based on logic or are they just playing on your emotions? You don't just pick the story you like more. You have to systematically evaluate every piece of information to see if it meets that high standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. That is evaluation in action. A simple way to practice this is with the 5 W's. When you see a claim, ask, who said it? What did they say? Where did they say it? When did they say it? And why did they say it? Answering these forces you to conduct a structured evaluation. And finally, all of this leads to skill number 12, problem solving and decision making. This is the ultimate goal. It's where you apply all the other skills to choose the most effective course of action. All the analysis, research, and evaluation in the world is pointless if it doesn't lead to a better decision. This is about taking your well-formed, evidence-based understanding and turning it into action. It means weighing your options, considering the short and long-term consequences, and choosing the path that best aligns with your goals and your values. Let's say you're deciding on a career path, a huge decision. Using these skills, you'd first get curious about different fields. You'd stay open-minded, even to paths you'd never considered. You'd analyze the pros and cons of each, research the job market, and identify your own biases, like being swayed by what sounds prestigious over what would actually make you happy. You'd infer what a day in the life would really feel like, evaluate advice from people in those fields, and finally, make a decision. But it doesn't even stop there. A good decision maker also monitors the outcome and stays cognitively flexible, ready to pivot if that path turns out to be the wrong fit. It is the full, integrated use of critical thought. Conclusion. So, there you have it, 12 critical thinking skills that, when you practice them, become a powerful toolkit for navigating this complicated world. From the core mindset of curiosity and open-mindedness to the hard work of analysis and research, all the way to the final judgment of evaluation and decision-making. This isn't a switch you can flip overnight. It's a practice. But every small step you take builds on the last, strengthening your ability to think clearly, see through deception, and make choices you can be proud of. This is about more than just avoiding bad decisions. It's about building a more successful, fulfilling, and examined life. It's about becoming an active architect of your own mind, not just a passive bystander. The journey to becoming a clearer thinker is a continuous one. So, I have a question for you. Which of these 12 skills do you feel would make the biggest immediate impact on your life right now? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'm genuinely curious to see what resonates most with you. And if you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video on the skills you need to build a better life. Start practicing today, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you can change the way you see the world.